Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to PM Personality Profile. My guest tonight, a woman who has resolved to make a positive impact in rural development. She is a research analyst with the African Economic Research Consortium, a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Patience Asewe Abo. She is the founder of the X-Glow Foundation and a gospel musician. Good to see you, Doc.
Good to see you too.
How have you been and what have you been up to?
I've been good. I've been busy.
Making life meaningful for the less privileged, I guess.
The purpose of my living, yes. yes.
How has it been?
It hasn't been easy, but it's been fulfilling.
Okay.
I guess I can say that. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's start with what you stand for. Humility, integrity, courage. You say that makes a good leader.
Yes, I think so. I believe, like all other people who believe in leadership, everything rises and falls on leadership. And for you to be able to take up that kind of responsibility, you must be courageous, because it's not all times that you'll be able to influence people to do what you want them to do. You need courage.
Yeah.
There are certain decisions that you will not be able to take as a leader if you do not have courage. I also believe to be able to motivate somebody and inspire people, they must believe that you are real.
Yeah.
And so integrity is very, very important. You must be what you say you are. You tell people you are that, and then later they find out there's another personality aside this one you are portraying. You will not be able to really inspire anybody with that kind of multiple personalities. Yeah. And so integrity, I believe, would also help any leader at all to inspire people to do what they want to do. Leadership is about inspiring people, motivating people, getting to effect change.
Definitely.
And with integrity, you are able to easily do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your love for community work is out of this world. What's the motivation, especially to empower girls and women?
Yeah. I have always told everybody I do that to help myself.
Okay.
That's the only thing that gives meaning to my life, because if you have read a little bit about me, or if you have watched any of my interviews, you realize that I always keep saying, I had no right to be here. Wow. I had no right to be here. I mean, most of you were born, I'm sure on the day you were born, 1 week after there was a celebration, there was an outdooring, Pojemo, christening, whatever name they give to it. Okay. Some of us were not born like that. Okay. Some of us didn't have people clapping and jumping that there's a baby that has come. Some of us came to this world with people, everybody frowning. Why didn't she just die?
My goodness.
Nobody welcomed you. So if you happen to survive, then there must be a reason why you survived.
Definitely.
And so you must find that reason and pursue it. And that's just what I'm doing. Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
People love children. Children come into the world, and everybody is happy. How come someone will be sad because the baby has arrived?
This baby
didn't
bring joy at all.
What happened?
No, I think if a baby arrives and the people who brought the baby were prepared for the baby,
they will be happy.
They were actually expecting the baby. Then they will celebrate the baby, right? In my case, I was not expected. I was not needed at that time. Maybe if I had come later, the story would have been different. But this one arrived at a very wrong time. My mom was too young. Okay. My dad, of course, was equally too young. And so that was not the plan at all. And then I showed up. So there was no Pojemo. There was no outdooring. There's no christening.
My goodness.
See, my grandmother threw the names at me, left the Patience, where they were all of them. She coined them up and she gave the name. So everybody who hears my name is Patience, the first question, are you Patience? I said, the name Patience is not for me. It's for my grandma. She needed patience to take care of this baby. So the meaning of the name has nothing to do with me.
My goodness.
No.
Are you patient?
I knew you were coming to that. The name wasn't meant for me.
So it didn't have any impact on you?
I couldn't afford to be patient and wait on a lot of things. I needed to move and impatiently to get whatever I thought I needed to get, because patience would have kept me a long way behind. But now I need it. Now it's okay. Now I can leave my name. Patience. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But of course, you're doing some great job with the X-Glow Foundation. We will talk about that. But first, tell me, I know you grew up in the north, but you were born in Accra. How did it happen?
Yeah, so my mom was schooling in Accra when she had me.
Okay.
Teenager. After a while, of course, if you knew anybody from the northern part of Ghana, you realize it wouldn't be easy for a teenager to survive the society, the stigma and all that.
Yeah.
And so she had to move out of the community where she was known.
Okay.
So she moved back to the north with me.
Okay.
And so that's why I ended up in the north.
At what age?
We left Accra when I was still in nursery, so I guess I should have been around 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you had all your growing up?
From primary school to GHS. At that time, in the olden days, it was GHS.
Okay, yes.
Now it is, oh no, it was JSS.
JSS.
Now
okay,
it is
junior secondary school.
JHS.
Then
Sometimes I get confused.
Before you
It makes me feel so old.
You had SSS in Accra. You came back to Accra.
Yes, I came back to Accra.
Okay. So let's talk about growing up in the north. How was it like?
Oh, the north is beautiful. The north is very cultural. We live by norms and beliefs and values. That's the good thing I like about growing up in the north. The north, everybody's child is everybody's child.
Definitely.
They can catch you up and beat you up for misbehaving. Nobody needs permission from your parents, even though things have changed these days. But that was the kind of community in which I grew up. And it was lovely. You ate from anywhere, you ate from any house. And so, yeah, you got to sneak out and play, even if they ask you not to play. So I had a very interesting childhood, regardless of the other stuff that were going on in my house. I found a way to have a very happy childhood. Yeah, I found my own ways.
Which part of the north do you come from precisely?
I actually come from the Upper East region. Strangely enough, I've not lived there. I've rather lived in the northern region. But my parents, both parents, come from the Upper East region.
Okay, where
a very interesting village called Kayoro.
Kayoro.
20 minutes drive from Navrongo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you speak Kasem?
Kasem.
Okay.
The heavenly language, Kogara.
Okay. That's all I
Kogara.
can see.
You just say Kogara. Who are you too?
Okay.
Yeah. So you also say Kogara. It's fine.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
I'm happy to learn another vocabulary.
It's good to learn languages. Yeah.
Interesting. So which of your parents was a teacher?
My mom.
Your mom. So she had to move from one place to another and she had to take you along.
Yeah.
How was that the experience? Share with me.
Yeah, I had to meet different people almost I think maybe every 2 years we are moving to a different place and
so
I have to
she
readjust.
Was being transferred or something?
Yes.
Okay.
She was being transferred.
Okay.
She was being transferred, and so anytime she was transferred, her handbag had to go with
handbag.
With or without your consent. So we kept moving. Unfortunately for all her transfers, they happened to be only in villages. I don't know why they never transferred her to a city. So now you know where X-Glow Foundation came from. Villages,
so it had
villages,
but
exactly.
What were some of your experiences in those villages? You have some memorable experiences?
Yeah, beautiful ones and horrible ones. So the beautiful ones being the fact that, I mean, you didn't need a fridge to store your food. Just cook and eat, and tomorrow we'll find some behind the house. And just go behind the house and you'll be fine.
Okay.
The other beautiful one being that most of these villages were Islamic communities, and they used to have this thing I loved as a child, the Muslims. There's this thing they call yara yara.
Yara yara.
Yara yara. So they will do, there's this masa. There's something they fry, they call masa. I'm sure those of you in Accra who do not know masa, but masa is a delicacy. It's made from
a nice one.
cereals. They fry it,
yes.
and then they add fresh cow milk. No.
With sugar.
You're in the spirit. They pour it over this thing, they add sugar to it, and then they come out to the open and just go yara 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 yara. Then we all start running. Survival of the fittest. You get the whether you've washed your hands or you have not. Enjoy it whilst it lasts. Those were my most beautiful days in the village. Yara yara. It was. I can't miss it. My ears were so sharp. Even if you whisper, yara, yara, I'll be there. I enjoyed myself.
It's nice,
the village is
actually.
nice. You could steal some stuff from your mother's room and go behind the house and you do, when should we do role playing and we cook our own fake foods and those things.
Yeah.
I don't see that anymore,
Yeah.
but those things made me enjoy my childhood.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. But the horrible side of the village was the fact that I remember we went to one village. No car came there until a market day.
Market day. Wow.
And even on the market day, the car that came carried both human beings and animals. So you had cattle on one side of the car. The human beings were now trying to perch around the animals.
Goodness.
And you only get to see that on a market day.
Wow.
And so my brother was very ill, the one after me, and there was no car to move us from that place to the nearest town, which was Damango.
Yeah.
That was like a district at that time, to the hospital.
Wow.
So whichever way you will get to survive, you just have to survive till a week when a car comes.
Which village is this?
Mpaha, it was called Mpaha.
My goodness.
Yeah. Now I'm sure things would have changed. Now maybe cars will go there, but those days cars were never there.
Okay.
And my brother was almost like dead by the time the next car will come to take us to the hospital.
Wow.
And so there was no health care. The nearest place was Damango, which I'm talking, and it's like miles away.
Yeah.
And you get to go there only once in a week.
When it's market day.
When it's market day.
So what happened to your brother?
We had to find a way of moving somehow, get a motorbike, get somewhere, move onto a bicycle with a sick child.
Oh.
And it was really horrible. Those were just horrible.
Oh, goodness.
Horrible days.
Goodness,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So you attended Our Lady of Fatima,
Primary, yes,
Primary.
that's in Tamale.
and then you also at some time you were in Yape.
Yape, yeah.
Tell me about those experiences.
Yeah, Our Lady of Fatima Primary was when my grandmama, who I said named me by herself, Patience Wejewo, she finally moved and came to the north as well. So I was living with her, and that was when she was living in Tamale. So I lived with my grandmother.
Okay.
And so I went to Our Lady. And that was in the city, that was in Tamale. So yeah, of course, then it was okay. And then later my mom, who lived in Yape, came to pick me to Yape. And that was a whole completely different place. They spoke a different language. It was a smaller town compared to Tamale, and so I had to adjust.
So they spoke Gonja?
Gonja.
Okay.
Yes. So I now have to change my Dagbani, which I was speaking in Tamale,
Tamale.
and learn a completely new, very strange. I had never heard Gonja in my life.
Okay.
And to learn the language, yeah, that took me a while. Because if you didn't understand the language, the kids around could just beat you for not understanding the language.
They would just blame.
And they are speaking and say, you are speaking back Dagbani, Mambuum da. Manabe Kanga. So like they will just beat you up because what you are saying, you are not communicating. So I had my own share of beatings in Yape to learn the language by fire. And that helped to learn it very quickly, I can tell you that. Yeah. So I learned Gonja with the baptism of the Holy Ghost. I learned Gonja. Yeah. And Yape, I think I grew up mostly in Yape because from Yape, that was when we moved to Mpaha.
Yes.
And then from Mpaha, we came back to Yape.
Okay.
So I finished my whole childhood in Yape. So Yape is really the base.
How was Yape?
Yape was interesting. Yape has is divided into two. The elitists, in quotes, those who were educated lived at a certain area. Okay. And then the actual indigens also lived by it has a river. I think is that the White Volta. The Volta Lake flows through Yape. It's a fishing community. So the indigents lived just by the river. Okay. And then those who were just transferred there to do one job or the other, they also lived. So we lived at where the educated people were. They called that place quarters. Because they built government quarters for government workers. Okay. And you would have to walk 1 mile to where the indigents are, and that is the only source of drinking water in that community, the river. So we swam in the river. Wow. Animals drank and eased themselves in the river. And then the same river is where we fetched our water from. There's no pipe. There's no pipe.
I'm sure it would look like Milo.
Sometimes. It depends on the the
Time.
season.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, those were interesting moments.
Yeah.
So you completed your primary school in Yape.
Yape.
And then you finally came back to Accra, to Nungua Secondary School.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was secondary school life? I'm sure Accra is quite different from the north.
You know, initially from Yape, when I at JSS, when I was choosing my schools, I didn't really even know the schools. But the thing is, I only knew that I would go to secondary school in Accra.
That's all you wanted.
Whether the schools were day schools or they were what level, I didn't even understand. But I chose the schools anyhow. So I chose Labone Secondary School as my first choice, Accra Girls second, and then I've forgotten the third choice. But I got a distinction from for my JHS. Okay. So I got my Labone Secondary School, my first choice. Okay. Then I got to Labone Secondary School and realized it was a day school. Okay. At that time.
You actually wanted a boarding.
Yes, but where will I be living? I had no address, so where would I be to be going to this day school? You know, so that was how I looked. I was searching for a school, and then I happened to know my mom knew one distant relative in Nungua Secondary School, and he said, "Oh, the results were good. I mean, I get 6, I get 7. If you had a single distinction, you could get any school you wanted. But Nungua Secondary School was a bit. If only I don't mind,
you wanted.
They could take me at Nungua Secondary School, and I'll get a boarding house. Okay. So I just moved from Labone to Nungua to the boarding school. Okay. Yes. So that was how I ended up in Nungua Secondary School. But I think it was all the plan of God, because Nungua Secondary School did a lot of things to my life. I mean, especially with my Christian life. Right. It was the place where I finally met Christ. It was the place where I finally said, I am now a proper Christian, and I gave my life to Christ. Wow. So it all started in Nungua Secondary School.
Well, tell me about it. Yeah. The whole new experience, village girl, back to Accra.
Can you imagine?
How was it?
Imagine this year. Coming from Yape. And then in Yape, we had our own culture. We fought by the time they send you from here to here, you fight about 3 fights on the road before you get there. Then I get to Accra and people are just insulted. They are just talking. They are not fighting. So it was difficult. You are talking too much. Let's just kick it off and get it over and done with. So I was struggling. Somebody could just insult you and go. You can't hate the person. That was a struggle.
They're just wasting time.
Hey, let's settle it. Get closer. Let's settle this matter instead of the plenty talk. So it was really a big problem for me. I couldn't cope. See, my uniform, our uniform is like a dress like this. I wore a shorts under my... Anybody who has been to Nungua Secondary School, if they are watching, they'll tell you. I always had a shorts under my dress, ready to fight. So that was Nungua Secondary School. First year, SHS 1. And my shorts was big. And so it will always the dress like this. And they'll be wondering, you are so tiny. Yet it looks like from this way, you are like huge.
They didn't know that you had prepared.
Just in case a fight broke up in the middle of the street. I have to be ready. Anytime. But nobody wanted to fight. So I was on my own. Aisha, it was difficult too. Trying to now learn when somebody, then they are talking, then you talk, then they talk. Accra people, you can talk. Oh. Then they're just talking. So I learned it in a very difficult way. So I learned to adjust to Nungua. Yeah, but
so you learned to speak Ga.
I said I won't speak Ga, and they will not understand why I'm in Nungua and will not speak Ga, because I could speak Chi. Even before I came from Yape, right there in Yape, I was speaking Chi. I don't know how I learned it. Okay. But anytime any national service persons came to the north, I was the only person they could communicate, and that made me feel special. Oh yes. Because I could speak Chi and then English. And so then translate. So I'm always in the middle of every conversation. Then I got here and they are saying I have to speak Ga. As if the absence of fighting was not enough. Now I have to learn how to speak Ga. Goodness. So the Ga, as for the Ga, when you speak, Nungua is Ga throughout. So I understand the Ga, except that anytime they were speaking Ga, because I was looking for a fight, I said I won't speak back. I will speak Chi, so that if you dare
come and look for your trouble, you will get
That was how I never got to speak Ga. Ntokwa penti. I never spoke it.
You never spoke
But
it?
I understand everything you're saying.
Okay.
I understand.
Wow.
Because they were insulting me all over the place, so I had to understand. So I understood.
So they never
Yeah.
gave you the opportunity to actually engage in any fights?
It didn't happen.
They were too fearful.
No. All they wanted to do was talk, engage, talk, dialogue. No. So it had to die. That attitude, they killed it. That's why I said Nungua Secondary School was one of the best things
That happened to
me.
you.
So gradually, the skill was dying. I wasn't fighting, so I had to remove the shorts now and be dressed like a lady and not be carrying the shorts everywhere. I learned how to be a lady instead of climbing. I was used to climbing trees, and so I'm like a tomboy kind of.
In the north.
In the north.
And then you have to learn that.
Yeah.
Riding bicycles
You know shea
and all
butter.
of
You
that.
know shea butter is
Yeah.
made from shea fruits.
Yes.
There's a fruit.
Yes.
So we will usually climb the trees to shake the fruit. You eat the fruit, and then the seed is what we use for shea butter.
Yeah.
So I was used to jumping on trees like that. And then you come to Accra.
Nothing like that for you. But were you doing any sporting activity in Nungua?
My mom trained me in sports, so I always tell everybody, the chasing, she would chase me in the area to beat me up. I learned how to be an athlete by default. So I was a natural athlete. Because every time I'm causing a problem at home and my mom will not let, like, you know, mothers, you are supposed to just, a child has misbehaved, wait when she comes so you can just grab her. My mom,
No, she has, at that particular moment.
she must beat you or else she might forget about it. So she will chase me in the neighborhood. Like by now, you will meet us at the third gate. You saw where you were. I will be running and my mom will be behind every day. So it was enough exercise
You were
and
quite
training.
stubborn.
I don't know why. I honestly do not understand why I was that stubborn. I'm always in one trouble or the other. And my mom is always chasing me. She won't let me be. Then people will be shouting, Auntie Magina, so obebe fie. Jano obebe fie. Obebe fie no abuna se dabi. Mecheno. Mebruno. Ansa no obebe fie so amasan bonaka ho. We'll be running in the whole area.
Oh, goodness.
Because my mom's point was that, see, I want to show her that I'm stubborn. She wants me to know that she's not really that older than me.
She's more
we are
stubborn
both growing up. So let's do this growing up.
At Nungua,
I was an athlete. Yes.
an athlete
Yes.
in Nungua.
Yes,
So you
and I
were
played
running for the
football
school.
as well.
Okay.
I tried basketball. That one didn't work.
Didn't work.
I
for
tried
you.
a few. They put me in the school team, all right, but I wasn't performing. Me now, I knew that I wasn't performing.
Okay.
So I stopped. But I played football, and I was an athlete. I did long distances. Anytime there was cross country, I am the girl.
Wow.
If it is 1,500, those longer ones. I'm not a sprinter.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of a student were you at Nungua?
I think after the first year, my troublemaking had actually
down.
dropped.
Okay.
So if you were looking for troublemakers, no, definitely you wouldn't find me. You wouldn't find me. So, and then if you were looking for the goody two shoes girls to,
You won't be there.
I will not be. That was somewhere
We're
in
sort of
between.
in the middle.
Yeah, I will go SU, but if there was also entertainment,
You will be there.
I could appear somewhere in the corner and just make a few moves
And
and go back and sleep for the next morning's SU. So I was in between like that. The thing is, I like dancing.
Yeah.
I love music.
Okay.
And so I didn't really care what music, for as long as it was music and
have to be
it
there.
was danceable.
Yeah.
I can't resist.
You had
So
to be
sometimes my
there.
SU mates will come and say, Patience, that one is worldly. You don't have to. I said, you people, give me some. I just gave my life to Christ.
So give me some space.
I need some space to recover. You know? No, this is a girl who could jump out of the window and go and watch Amachi Dede on Anampedu. If they came with a concert. Those days they used to come for concerts in Yape.
In the village, okay.
Those days they would come to every community and they were doing
come
all
and
these
perform,
musical
yeah.
concerts.
Yeah.
And my mom would say, no, you are not going. I said, okay, no problem. So I get to my room in the night, I open the window, fold my dress under my armpit, jump over, go and dance, come back, change at the window, wear my pajamas, jump into the room,
And come and sleep.
One day I was actually caught.
Okay. Your mom caught you.
I don't know how.
Then
I don't know who took. Maybe she got a tip off. Now I'm beginning to, I need to ask her
How
how she got to actually get me on that day. So I came back from this. That one was Sibo. There were these gang called Sibo Brothers.
Yeah.
I went and danced. By 2 a.m. I was now coming. And this is a JSS child. Oh. Can you imagine? Then I got to the window, threw in the things I used to go and dance, threw the window. I had changed into my pajama, jumped over the window. Usually my room, the lights are off. I got into the room and then they switched on the light.
For you. Welcome,
my
madam.
mom was sitting on my bed like a ghost. The thing is, looking back at the window, should I jump back? Should I stay? To be or not to be? And you know, I told you how my mom can beat. She's a teacher. Caning is, oh yeah, that night. But because I knew I was wrong, that particular day I endured the pain.
You didn't cry?
For the whole community to know that I jumped through the ones that I usually cry and give a dodge. Those ones were when she was beating me by heart. But this one, I knew I was wrong. So she would hit me and I said, I'll keep it to myself. You won't hear it. I endured the pain. So when I came to Nungwa, that thing was still, you know.
Yeah.
So I told the SU people, this is the background. So take it easy. Once a while, if you see me at entertainment, you know that I'm still working on it. You understand? Entertainment small, SU small. Then Nungwa was interesting.
Wow.
Nungwa was interesting.
What would you say was your biggest challenge in Nungwa?
My biggest challenge. Usually the days I didn't like were Saturdays and weekends, like when parents will come and visit and they're bringing all this home chore. I felt like an orphan.
Yeah.
Nobody visited me.
But your mom was still in Yape?
She was in her Yape,
minding
her business and living her life. And so on weekends when people were really, you have aunties, people were coming, then they are carrying food. They'll come and call so and so has come, or your mama has come. Yeah. Then they'll carry the food. And they'll come and everybody is displaying their food and they are inviting you. But you know you cannot eat this food because you don't have any to share. Yeah. So the days I never liked as a boarding student were weekends when family will visit and they are bringing food and I just had to stay and watch them enjoy themselves. So yeah, those will be my difficult times when I felt I've been left in the school and nobody is coming to look for me and it feels as if you were some orphan, even though my parents were alive. Once in a while, my dad will usually pass by from work. He will just bring you money. Of course, he's a man.
Or he was also in the north?
He cannot bring you food. Sorry.
What, your dad, was he also in the north or he was in Accra?
My dad is here.
He's in Accra. My
dad lives in Accra. Yeah. They are not, my mom and my dad are not together. And so you know how that is.
It's usually.
They both have their own families and you are just that piece hanging around. So yeah.
Were there financial challenges?
I wouldn't say that. As with financial challenge, I think most of my difficulties had to do with more of affection and lack of, like you don't feel loved and you feel rejected, those things, but not finances, strangely enough. I had a lot of people give me money. I don't know, I think people found me very fascinating. Anybody I met could just give me money.
Wow.
That one I was very blessed.
Wow.
I mean, I had favor. I had godparents who lived in Laboni, Mr. and Mrs. Aduashon. God bless this couple. They are amazing. They were, whether my dad was giving me money or not, they were still giving me provisions and gave me money anytime I was going back to school, right from secondary school till I even completed university.
Wow.
Those people were still giving me money.
Interesting.
Aside my dad.
Yeah. From Nungwa, then to University of Ghana, to South Africa. And University of, I think,
Cape Peninsula University of Technology.
And then also in Southampton, in the UK. Yeah. How was the experience like?
There's something very weird about my education. So it has never really been that straight. From this to this. No, it looks that way, but it wasn't. Because after secondary school, those days you will stay home for more than a year or two before your results will come for you to now move on. So after already staying home for 2 years, in the third year when I went to the school, I had decided, my mom had convinced me to go to the teacher training college because they had the slogan, teaching is a stepping stone. Teaching is a stepping stone. And most when you go into the teacher training college, they were going to be giving you allowances. And so you will be able to take care of yourself from that time onwards. You didn't need money from your parents. So I applied to a teacher training college. Went for an interview, got admission, took my admission and my prospectus, came back to Accra, and this teacher training college was in Tamale. Came back to Accra to show my admission and everything to my dad so that he'll give me money and I'll buy my stuff and go back to the school. Echena, come back tomorrow. The thing is, my dad wasn't happy that I was going to a teacher. He wanted, I did science in the secondary school, and he thought I should probably find something within the health sector to train, either nursing, laboratory science, as he was. And he was a laboratory scientist. So he wanted me to find myself in that space, but I chose to listen to my mom and go to teacher training college. So I could tell he wasn't really enthused about this whole teacher training college. And so that, I don't know, but that could have been the reason why the whole come back tomorrow. By the time I got the money to buy my stuff and go back to Tamale, they had given my place to another person. And I carried my chop box with my uniform and everything. I had Makra Ubia because I had sat home for 2 years. The whole community must know that finally I am going to school.
And then you are coming back.
The next door, until when whom you are just send me to school. Then I go to the school. Oh, they said I cannot register. Why? Oh, the deadline was yesterday and they had to, you know, people are usually on the waiting list.
If someone doesn't come.
I said everything. I begged. I cried. They said there was no way. There's no space at all. To take me. So I had to carry my box back to my mom's house. And at that time, she was living in a compound house. So you can imagine the whole house, everybody sitting there. You are bringing your chop box back.
Oh, that was sad.
You didn't go to school again. What happened? Patients won't yell no chandla. Now you have to be answering everybody by the door before you finally get to your room. The wahala of living in a compound house, when your problem is everybody's problem. It was tough. It was really difficult. So I didn't get to go to school. The principal assured me that I should come back the next year. This time around, they will keep my place now because I had admission. So next year I didn't need to buy forms again. Sister, the next year I didn't want trouble. I bought the form again. Went back there for an interview. They saw me as Patience, you were here last time. I'm like, yeah, but why did you buy the form? You already had admission. I said, no, I still wanted to just be sure. This time, even at the interview, they didn't even ask me any question. They only made me sing. And then they told me I should come later and pick the new admission letter. I got there when I heard the admissions were out to pick my letter. They told me to check the board if my name was there first. I checked the board. Aisha, if I could get spectacles, I would have won like 2 to check again because I couldn't find my name the second time.
How?
Checked upwards, checked downwards, checked diagonally. I couldn't find my name. I went to the principal. Oh, Patience, your surname starts with A. I said yes. I wrote your name. I personally wrote your name. Go back and check. I said, sir, maybe you should check your list because what is on the board? He said, that's not possible. Then he picked the admission list, went through and said, there was another Patience. Her surname also starts with A.
Oh,
yeah. She was the one they gave the admission to, not me.
Not you. Wow.
I missed the second time. 2 years rolling in the same training college.
Oh, no.
And that was when scripture came to mind. The Bible came in handy. If you go to a place and they reject you, shake off the dust from your feet.
And move on.
Don't look back again. That was how my teacher training college ended. This time I decided I wouldn't even beg again. So I moved on. So from between the secondary school to university,
wasn't that small.
There was a Red Sea and desert and everything I had to cross. But yeah, a long story short, finally I ended up at the University of Ghana to read biological science.
Let's talk about your XGLOW Foundation. Was there a particular incident or experience you had in the North that actually motivated you to put together this foundation?
Yeah, a lot of things. Like I explained, those villages I lived in. I remember in my JHS, at a point, just before I wrote my BEC, we had no teacher in the school, except our headmaster, who taught every subject, including French, that he couldn't speak.
Okay.
So it was tough, and you had to literally force your brain to study. And life was really, really difficult. Then I also remember in one of those villages, I sat in classrooms where there were no desks. There was nothing to sit on. And so we used the blocks that are used in building a house. Yeah. You put it in the classroom and you sat on the block and you put your book on your lap. And that was how we wrote. Wow. And so with all that, I always told myself, and I don't know, for some strange reason, whilst I sat on those blocks and I wrote from my lap, I could see myself. I was always picturing myself that one day I was going to be somebody very important. And I was going to come back to this village. And I was going to make life very comfortable for students so they don't sit on the floor the way I sat. The floor. So I believe that is where the S-Glow Foundation started. From. Yeah.
Wow.
I always said I will come back to villages and I will make learning easier for children in such places. And I also come back to villages, not just to help students learn in schools, but to be a role model, because growing up we never saw role models. There was nothing to look up to. I think the only profession in my community that I saw every now and then were teachers. Yeah. And those days, teachers, their conditions of service was really nothing to write home about. Yeah. And so really want to be, motivation. It wasn't something you were aspiring for. Yep. And so I said I was going to be something more than just a teacher looking the way they were looking. I was going to look like something some child would look at me and say that one day I also want to be like her. And because I had sat on those blocks and written from my lap, if I spoke to those children, I can speak their language. They will understand that it is very possible that you can get out of that floor and become something bigger. And so those were my motivations for starting the S-Glow Foundation.
How has the journey been so far?
It has been fulfilling. It's been tough because funding is a big issue. My husband agreed that I save my salary just for the S-Glow Foundation, so that he used his money to run the home. So I save my salary every month, and then anytime I identified a school with needs, I spoke to a few close friends. If they sent you 50 cedis, 100 cedis, whatever amount any friend who was kind enough to send, and that's how I go to these villages. I carry resource persons. We go there, we teach these children. In the village, you need to learn about grooming and all that. So I have resource people who go and teach them about grooming, teach them how to be a lady, how to sit, how to walk. And then apart from that, I donate learning materials. And then because I am a health person, I also engage in very basic healthcare, teach them a few tips to stay healthy, and help them stay healthy as much as I could with first aid and stuff like that. Wow. Yeah. So that's what the S-Glow Foundation does.
Dr. Patience Asewe-Abo, she's my guest tonight, and I am so touched by her life story. Remember, she is a research analyst, and her research interests in healthcare governance, health service management, health policy, and socioeconomic effects on health outcomes. When I return from this break, she'll be telling me about her career experience, and she would also be telling us about her dancing skills, her love for music. I mean, I'm just wondering what a blend. She'll be telling us all of that after this break, plus her family values and lifestyle. Stay with me, I'm coming right back.